Now, FNB has always been an industry leader when it comes to innovative products. And one of these products that they've introduced now is the ability to have multiple holders of a bond. So it would be basically a collective with regard to a bond. And I think it can go all the way up to 8 individuals. And that's groundbreaking because it clearly covers a gap in the market, which is not being catered to probably by other service providers. But whilst this is, groundbreaking, there is the legal element to it and understanding what this means from an, in terms of the implications that if myself, you, and Cilna had to enter into an agreement, what are the implications around it? And what's the legality around it? So I think, Bruno, please can you just give us some insight into what it would mean, first of all, to be able to have a product like this where multiple people can, hold one bond. And then secondly, we want to find out in terms of, marital regimes, what would it mean if we were married in community of property? How would that work? And then lastly, sorry, I know I'm bombarding you with questions, but lastly,
you're going to need to repeat them.
I will. But just to put it out there, so Cilna knows as well. What would it look like on a deed? In the deeds office? Well, how would that be structured? How would that look? Bruno, what can we say about this?
So maybe just a little bit of context from what I've read on the product or what I know about the product. So I've spoken to a couple of the guys from the competitive banks, one of the people I know at FNB, bond originators and the like. So there's still a lot of uncertainty, especially in the markets. I'm sure FNB has everything planned out, but we're still not 100% sure what this is going to look like. And you're going to find that there's going to be a lot of trial and error and teething, a lot of teething necessary, because I mean, the bond originators aren't even geared for this. So I spoke to a couple of guys that have a huge market share and their systems just don't cater for this sort of thing. And they're not even sure what this is supposed to look like. From a legal perspective, again, I'm sure FNB has put it all in place, but from our perspective, we're seeing this as a joint ownership. So whereas in the past there was a limitation, so nothing's really, I suppose the best way to describe to explain this is nothing has changed in the way that things are done. You've always been able to apply for joint home loans from a bank. And you sometimes find this, especially with people that are married out of community or property, each one has their own separate estate. They go into co-ownership, both of them are marked as owners of the property. I've also seen this with father and son, siblings, whatever. So it can be done. Nothing's ever stopped it from being done, but there was always a limitation. If there were too many people buying the property, the banks would take a step back and say, well, maybe a home loan isn't the best option here. We need to consider another option. So similar things happen with companies, for example, where if there were too many directors in the company buying the property, there'd be, the bank would see too many directors and say, you know what, this falls more within the commercial space as opposed to the residential space. Home loans being typically, a person living in a house, but it does extend to some property investors that are buying a single house and renting it out. Now, this throwing 8 into the mix basically just covers a gap that usually home loans didn't cover, where we thrown more people into it. But with more people also comes more complications. So now you're going to have 8 owners, 8 undivided half shares, 8 undivided shares. They're going to need to govern their relationship, because in the past it was simple where you looked at it and went, well, it's a husband and wife. So worst case scenario, there's a divorce. They need to get all that sorted out. And then the banks just sit back and go, okay, great. Well, what was the outcome? My gut tells me that they just gear their systems for 8. They're not going to cater, or at least my understanding is they won't cater for much or anything else. They'll just say, listen, there's 8 co-owners. You guys need to get your things in order. At the end of the day, we just want money to come in. And they're happy to, and I see that their systems do gear up for some form of joint accounts or money being, certain commitments or stop orders being made. So they are making it easier for these 8 people to actually be able to pay into this joint account. But at the end of the day, my feeling is that they're still going to look at it and say, look, all of you owe, you're jointly and severally liable. So when the debt becomes due, we're going to go after all 8 of you, but we're going to sell the property and possibly execute against the individuals. And that's just the way that it is. So my concern or my opinion with this, or where I'm worried, is the underlying implications still need to be dealt with. So 8 people going to apply for a home loan in their personal names, for starters, probably isn't the best idea to begin with. So this product is great. The product is going to open doors for people to buy houses and buy homes and possibly live together, larger family units or whatever the case is. But I would still say that nothing's really changed. My advice regarding proper structuring when you buy properties is it remains in place. And if you follow the structuring parameters that are normally set out, you probably wouldn't be making use of this product anyway.
Oh, thank you, Bruno.